This is the Media Police Post, broadcasting from the Fort Hall School of Government. In this show, we police the state of truth in the Republic. And because truth is communicated to us by journalists and analysts, we have made it our civic duty at the Fort Hall School of Government to put it to the test. We advance from two confirmed truths about the media. One, and according to Roger Stone, the media is either evil or lazy. And for the most part, it is both evil and lazy. That is why the truth, their truth, must be put to a test. Two, another confirmed truth is that journalism is verified gossip. In fact, what is presented to us as news analysis is gossip that has been verified by journalists. This gossip has to be ground-truthed. And so for the next 2 years, we will monitor talking heads on TV and social media. We will assess the state of truth in what they submit to the Republic. And we will pass verdict on whether it is true and what is not. For the record, we are not journalists. We are thinkers.
Yes.
We are not lazy or evil. We are thinkers. And we do not verify gossip. What we give you is the truth that sets you free. Welcome, lady and gent.
Asante sana.
Would you like to kick us off?
JM, I think I'll go first. Now, we have in the past been harsh on Newsgun.
Yes.
And we make no apologies for it. But one of them redeemed himself this week when he made Deputy President William Ruto hot under the collar on live television. Joe Ageo brought out the dissident in Ruto. He made him fumble. But more fundamentally, Ruto took the bait and seemingly called out his boss.
Bwana DP, why I keep going back to this is as follows.
Yeah.
You're saying that this process, one, is outside the law.
Those are your words.
No, you actually said
mine.
that there's no legal framework. In English, that really just means it is outside the law.
There is no legal framework, but that does not mean it is illegal.
No, legal framework means it's happening within the context of the law, isn't it? That is what
I'm telling you, there is no legal framework guiding this process the way we had a legal framework when we were doing the CKRC law, for example.
So you nominated people with that in mind, but be that as it may, the president, because he has been promoting BBI, so for some reason the president went ahead with a process that changed the agenda of what you had agreed, the two of you. And you're telling me that it is not reasonable for someone to conclude that either the president did not honor what you had agreed or somehow he lost the control of that process to some other people.
Well, maybe if you find the president, maybe you can ask him that question. But I've told you
His principal assistant. I imagine you know his.
From where I sit, the original agreement was that there was no constitutional changes.
Ruto said, without blinking, that in as much as President Kenyatta kept him abreast of issues, he wasn't aware BBI would lead to a referendum. But that is not all. Ruto's BBI consensus talks in Karen with 50 MPs and his mocking criticism of the provisions of the BBI draft bill is definitely a line drawn in the sand. Question is, how long will President Kenyatta stand a deputy who's running a parallel process?
Yeah.
But before we proceed, allow us to give you a story. It is a story for Ruto from the Decemberist uprising of 1825 in Russia. This rebellion was led by a rebel called Rylev. He was arrested and sentenced to hang. However, on the day of execution, there was a mechanical problem. The rope around his neck broke and he fell to the ground. As he got to his feet, he yelled to the crowd saying, "In Russia, they cannot do anything right. They cannot even make rope." Now, in those days, a man saved like this was pardoned. But as the Tsar signed the pardon order, he asked if the rebel had said anything after this miracle. The messenger replied, "Sir, the rebel said that in Russia, they don't even know how to make rope." "In that case," said the king, "let us prove him wrong."
Yeah.
The king tore the pardon order and the rebel was hanged the next day. This time round, the rope did not break. This is a lesson for Ruto. By constantly mocking BBI, a draft bill which has already been okayed by his boss, Ruto is calling for his own impeachment. In a sense, he is saying in Kenya, they do not even know how to make law.
That's right.
Naturally, such a statement would be an affront to the state. And so, why wouldn't the state fix its enemies? Why shouldn't Uhuru fire Ruto? And there is historical precedence to this, to back this up. The 2005 referendum, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Najib Balala, Charity Ngilu, all cabinet ministers then ran a no campaign against then President Mwai Kibaki. Of course, Raila and team won. But then Kibaki would not have dissidents in cabinet who had just won a plebiscite.
Absolutely.
So he fired them. How else would cabinet operate? Raila would have had more clout in cabinet than Kibaki did. What's our point here? Ruto has drawn the line. He has told us he will appear with 148 MPs to make a consensus statement. He appeared with less than 70. less than a third to stop his impeachment.
Absolutely.
Question is this: why should Uhuru feel sorry for him? Why keep a deputy who's already threatened war? Why give a chance to a man who has questioned his boss's ability to make a constitutional rope?
Yes.
Impeach him.
Absolutely. Let me just say, in addition, first of all, I think you've debunked him quite well. Not 148 MPs, less than 70 MPs. That means his impeachment, take it to the bank, is a question of when.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Not if.
Yes.
He doesn't have the numbers to back it up.
Yes.
The train of BBI has left the station. He's totally bewildered right now.
Yeah.
He's clutching at straws. He's completely confused. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
He's trying his best not to disappoint his hustlers.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
But
I
you
think
know what?
that
It is what
this
it is.
very interview we're talking about, this one of the Citizen one on Thursday.
Yes.
who's
It,
just
bro-
that.
it brought
Yes.
it out.
He's
Absolutely.
a shell of a man.
Yeah.
He is. Without the deputy presidency, Ruto is nothing.
He's
That's
a
a fact of the
citizen.
matter. He's a citizen. Yeah, in a commoner, raya. And he's begging for an impeachment.
Yes.
By going against, being wishy-washy.
Yes.
He's actually playing with fire here.
Absolutely.
He had better make up his mind.
Yeah.
And he either quits or what's that thing they say? Either you push or
You shape it. You shape it. Or you
ship it
Oh,
or ship
shape
out.
it.
But there's another one.
Yeah.
For either you are pushed
Yes.
or you jump off yourself.
Yes,
That one.
with the pirates on the
Yeah.
of
It's
course.
either you jump or you get pushed.
Absolutely. He needs to decide. Good point.
This week I have consumed a lot of local news. I entered the thought space of the talking head and I came out the other side a lesser woman. And I do not mean to be harsh. These people have created jobs for themselves,
Oh, yeah.
attempting to educate the populace.
Oh, yes.
They too need their daily bread.
Preach.
But I noticed something very glaring and worrying. The conversation around the referendum has entered the realm of absurdity.
Oh, yeah.
From my good friend Gladys Cholet, incorrectly stating that it is unconstitutional to alter boundaries via referendum, to the deputy president offering the country nothing but masking it in sweet words. And we cannot forget the Linda Katiba nihilists who want to deprive Kenyans of hope.
Yes.
This week brought me to the conclusion that intelligence is not common.
The latest BBI Constitutional Amendment Bill reveals that there has been substantial changes from the one that was launched at the Bomas of Kenya. I noticed that a lot of the proposals raised by the Deputy President and Bomas have been incorporated, which are very welcome. The issue of IEBC has been addressed, and the commissioners will no longer be appointed by the two leading political parties and the president. The Senate has also been given more powers so that it has a more effective oversight role over the revenue collected and allocated to the counties. What is also welcome is that the National Police Service has been retained as is and maintains its independence as Kenyans always wanted the case. We also welcome the fact that women are back in the National Assembly, and that is welcome.
In my view, the problem here is that some people are more concerned about arguing over process instead of substance. Should we do the referendum now? Should we attach it to the 2022 election? multi-question referendum or single-question referendum, 4-tire wheelbarrow or 3-tire wheelbarrow. These people are completely missing the point.
Yes.
When Machiavelli asked whether the ends justify the means, the Kenya of today is what he was referencing.
Yeah.
There are 2 facts that I know to be true. 1, that every 5 years, the election for the president of Kenya brings this country to its knees, economically, politically, and emotionally.
Yeah.
And 2, that all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with our constitution.
Yes, indeed.
What do I mean? That our electoral process is crippling Kenya.
Oh, yeah.
And that each and every citizen of this country has the power to change that. Constitutions are designed to be worked and reworked.
Oh, yeah.
As Alexander Hamilton, a founding father of the United States, noted, the ability to remedy defects and unintended consequences of a constitutional text can make it more enduring. And so every Kenyan deserves an enduring constitution. And so if my 2 facts remain true, 1 fact is the disease, and the other fact is the cure. I want to propose the following food for thought.
Yes.
Laws endure as long as they are useful, and as so naturally bear some relation with the underlying conditions of society. If we take this apart, we have 2 things: the endurance of rules and the conditions of society. In my view, the current underlying conditions of our Kenyan society are violent, greedy, invasive, destructive, and negative.
Yes.
And you don't have to take my word for it. History shows us that elections tap into the dark side of the Kenyan psyche.
Yeah.
Every 5 years, we are left embarrassed by our electoral process and left broke by the destruction it leaves behind. So what is my point? The rules we currently have in place encourage this kind of behavior, and something must change. The law is not built to bind us.
Yeah.
The law must change to be consistent with society.
Absolutely.
But today, these 2 are completely out of sync.
Yeah, yeah.
As a Kenyan, I want my constitution to represent my values, not manipulate my emotions. And this is what constitutional change is about. Our laws have become useless because they do not reflect who we are. And unless something changes, we are destined to make the exact same mistakes again come 2022.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me just mention Alexander Hamilton here. You spoke about him. He's my favorite of the founding fathers.
Yes, very smart man.
He was the he carried the briefcase for George Washington in the military. He was actually George Washington's ADC.
Yeah.
And he was also the first U.S. Treasury Secretary, as a side note, and he was the father of infant industry protection, and that's why he's my favorite of the founding fathers.
A man who recognized
total
that,
legend.
when change needs to come, it has to come.
It has to come. The foundations of the American economy are built on the ideas of Alexander Hamilton.
Very true.
As a side note, but really great debunking there of Gladys Cholet.
Yes.
And and all her misleading and what she's you're misleading Kenyans.
Very true. Yeah. Every
Terrible
day.
stuff. Let me speak a little bit about the Martha Karua and the nihilists.
Yes.
So they held a press conference somewhere in Nairobi last Sunday, in which they alleged that the government of Kenya, in cahoots with the people, have put in motion a conspiracy to overthrow the constitution through BBI. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
yeah.
Crazy.
But let's be honest, that's what they really meant.
Yes.
Listen to them.
The Constitution of Kenya 2010 provides for only 2 processes of initiating its amendment, namely popular and parliamentary. A state-led initiative can only be initiated through Parliament, which is one arm of government, while a popular initiative, as the name denotes, is a people's process. The usurpation of the people's constitutional amendment pathway by the state is therefore unconstitutional. This is no oversight or omission. all the constitutional changes that legalized dictatorship between the abrogation of the Independence Constitution in 1964 and the repeal of Section 2A in 1991 were initiated and pushed through an emasculated parliament by the executive. They were all designed to concentrate unaccountable power in the person of the president. The purpose of the BBI Constitutional Amendment Initiative is to do the same.
By the way, Martha Karua is the only man amongst those nihilists.
Oh. Okay.
And according to them, they say it is unconstitutional for the government to initiate amendments through the popular initiative. Now, this is just sheer political nonsense in my view.
Absolutely.
This is not what the drafters of the Constitution envisioned.
No,
the framers of the 2010 Constitution were very clear. They framed the Constitution amendment procedures to make it extremely difficult for the political class to alter the Constitution willy-nilly. And while I'm on willy-nilly, let me tell you guys, willy-nilly is the word I like to abuse the most. We all have an English word we like to abuse. Willy-nilly is mine. Willy-nilly. And so for the
willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly.
Because it's so childish but so painful.
And probably belongs in Karen.
Absolutely. So for the political elite to amend the basic structure of the Constitution, and the basic structure here means the backbone, the fundamental elements of the document. And I spoke about this earlier on Winning Headlines. The people must be consulted. That is what the framers of the Constitution had in mind. And that is why when you trace the two pathways of constitutional amendment in Articles 256 and 257, all roads of constitutional amendment lead to the people. It is the people who have the final say, not Raila, not Uhuru Kenyatta, not William Ruto. It's the people. In fact, the framers of the 2010 Constitution were so haunted by the experiences of the Jomo Kenyatta presidency and the Moi presidency that they usurped power from Parliament. They usurped power from Parliament. Article 257 of the Constitution states that if a constitutional amendment bill has been passed by county assemblies and then it goes to Parliament and Parliament fails to pass it, it must be submitted to the people in a referendum. We have no trust in Parliament. Now, for General Tij Sei to say that the government must not consult the people, it must first consult Parliament and then the people, it's just sheer ignorance, honestly speaking. And so let me conclude briefly by talking about the spectrum of constitution amending procedures across the world. Broadly, there are 3 constitution amendment procedures, and they range from very easy to very difficult. The first of those require just a single vote of the national legislature to change the constitution. And you will recall that this is the method that we had here in Kenya before 2010. So a few MPs could meet in the cafeteria, they get into parliament, they've spoken to the AG and they decide we change the constitution, we change it.
Done.
And that is how even the NARA Act of 2008 came into effect. The second are those that require about 2 votes of the legislature, and 2 votes here meaning votes, let's say, from 2 houses, and perhaps with an intervening election. An example here is Colombia. The third are countries such as Chile and presently Kenya, which are extremely paranoid of their national legislatures. And so for the most part, they bypass the legislature, either partially or completely, and require a referendum altogether to change the constitution. Martha Karua and the nihilists would therefore do well to read Article 1 of the Constitution that states all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. And so when Raila and Uhuru and the BBI framers go to the people of Kenya directly, it is because they have the confidence. They know that the moment is right. That we have the power of context to change this constitution. And we go directly to the people. This is anyway going to land with the people ultimately.
And I think what's so shocking to me is that all these anti-BBI people are quite honestly clutching at straws, trying to build an argument.
Absolutely.
So by the time you're falsely making statements and lying to the people of Kenya that they do not have any right a right that is given to them constitutionally, that it is the first article of our constitution. I mean, honestly,
Tujay, you were saying earlier that the referendum is the highest.
Yes, exactly.
It's the highest. We can go to change the constitution.
It's the highest form of alternative constitutional consensus building.
Yes.
You need to go into a referendum for you to change the law. It's as simple as that. So for someone to tell us that you need a body to tell us how.
If we're not consulting the people, who are we consulting? Who do
should we
Martha Karua
consult?
and the nihilists want us to consult? The United Nations,
God.
honestly. or some aliens on the
some
moon.
aliens, yes.
The people are the ultimate and the last
barrier. Yes.
The buck stops with the people. On this one, they're the only ones who can get us to change our constitution as we deem fit. Anyway, thank you for joining us on the Media Police Post, Talking Heads. Remember, this is going to be a weekly show, and we want to put you on notice. We are watching you, Talking Heads.
Media.
We are watching you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a good weekend.
Plus.